My name is Marla Griggs. I've worked for the Northern Territory Police Force for 12 years, most of them spent on missing persons cases. It's not the most glamorous work. Most people don't like the idea of combing through wild bushland, hoping to find a shoe, a scrap of fabric, or if we're lucky, someone still breathing. But I've made a career out of it. Some say I'm good at it. Others say I've become obsessed. They're probably both right. My brother Jason went missing in 2012. He was 23. Fit, smart, stubborn. Decided to take a week out in Garkain National Park and never came back. I filed the report myself. I was still new to the force back then, barely 2 years in. But I searched harder than I ever have for any other person since. The case went cold. No blood, no tracks, no belongings. It was like he'd been plucked from the world without a trace. That was the beginning of my obsession. Corey McAllister was 26, a Canadian backpacker making YouTube videos of his journey across Australia. He wasn't famous, just another face with a camera and a thirst for the unknown. I saw his channel when the missing person report landed on my desk. His last upload was from 2 days before he vanished. The location was all too familiar, the same region where Jason disappeared. We found Corey's tent deep in the bush, a good 2 hours hike from the nearest trail. It was partially collapsed, his sleeping bag still inside. Food untouched, water bottles lined up neatly. But no sign of Corey. We might have written it off like the others, chalked it up to a wrong turn, heat exhaustion, or a crocodile attack if not for the GoPro we found half buried under a layer of leaves near the roots of a twisted gum tree. The lens was cracked, but the SD card was still intact. Back at the station, I locked the door, closed the blinds, and loaded the footage. The first few minutes were harmless. Corey was smiling into the lens, sunburnt and tired. Day 6. Off the grid, he said, panning around the treetops. Heard something weird last night, like wings flapping. Thought it was a bat, but it was too loud. Maybe a flying fox. Anyway, I'm moving west today. He turned the camera upward. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I froze the frame. There, hunched in the canopy, barely distinguishable from the bark and shadows, was a shape. Dark, wrong, perched on a thick branch, curled in on itself like a bat. And then, when he panned back, it was gone. Corey never noticed it, but I did. And deep in my gut, I already knew. I knew this had something to do with Jason. Later footage showed Corey cooking by the fire. He looked unsettled. Heard it again, he whispered. And there's a smell now, like something dead. Or wet leather, hanging in the air. The night vision kicked in as the fire crackled lower. It must have been after 2 in the morning when he bolted upright, the camera jostling as he grabbed it in a panic. The sound came again, slow, heavy wing beats. Not frantic like a bird. They sounded purposeful, almost intelligent. He stepped out of the tent, camera shaking in his hand. He didn't say a word. The forest was silent, too silent. Then he lifted the camera and pointed it at the treetops, and that's when I saw it. A figure hung upside down from a branch, its wings wrapped around its body like a cocoon. The texture of its skin was leathery, sagging in places like a dead thing left out too long. Its face turned slowly, and I swear it looked directly at the lens. Its eyes were black pits. Its mouth stretched open, revealing a grin so wide and unnatural that my own breath caught in my throat. No fangs, no roar. Just that eerie frozen smile. The camera dipped, then chaos followed. Branches snapping, Corey running. The camera bouncing wildly as he fled through the underbrush. The sounds were unbearable. Snarling wind, that awful wing flapping, and something else beneath it all. A low, rattling hiss like a breath that didn't belong to anything human. Then the camera fell. You hear Corey scream once, then silence. For a long moment, the forest is still. The GoPro continues to record, pointed at the trees. Then, soft and slow, something breathes into the mic. A dragging sound follows. The footage ends. I stared at the screen for a long time, replaying the face in the trees again and again. It was real. Not a trick of light. Not a costume. And not a man. I wanted to send the footage to HQ immediately, but I didn't get the chance. 2 men in dark suits showed up at the station that evening. No badges, no names. They knew exactly what I found and asked for the camera. I demanded to know what agency they worked for. One of them leaned in, calm and collected, and said, "You don't want to end up like your brother." That was when I knew. Jason hadn't gotten lost. He hadn't run out of food, hadn't slipped and fallen into a ravine. Something had taken him, and someone else had covered it up. They took the footage, told me to close the case. "Accidental death," they said. "No evidence of foul play." But I remember the elders I talked to when Jason vanished. One of them whispered about a Garkain, a creature of the trees, of rot and shadow. A spirit that suffocates its prey before it feeds. A protector of the forest or a curse upon it, depending on who you ask. I think it's both. And I think it's still out there. I've written this down because I know they'll try to make me forget. Maybe they'll discredit me. Maybe worse. But if something happens to me, I want you to know the creature in the treetops is real. Don't go into those woods alone and don't ignore the smell. And if you ever hear wings flapping above you in the dark, run. Thank you all for tuning in to Cryptid Encounters. I truly appreciate your support in listening to these thrilling stories. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If there are any stories you'd love to see covered, feel free to comment below with your suggestions. Until next time.